All right. So we just got some early access into the Philly Flower Show. And so this is before all the crowds come in, which is really nice. So we are going to get carte blanche of being able to see some plants that I really wanted to see the other day, but it was hard to work past these groups because honestly, it attracts tens of thousands of people. So without further ado, let's go see some stuff. So the theme here is kind of the Mediterranean. So you're gonna see some more versions of kind of Mediterranean plants here, not exclusively so, but you could see that people really deck out their stages here. But one thing I wanted to show you is that these are plants that people actually submit for competition. So you can see that this is a Cymbidium Orchid, which has the first prize. And these plants are just so lovely. If you could just take a span of all of these orchids. I don't know if it smells. It's a very faint smell. Which, I mean, look at this one with that black flower. I mean, I can't touch these like I do in normal because I don't want to touch anybody's beautiful work here. But of course, the ever famous Ludicea discolor, which you can see this is one of the more terrestrial orchids and it is in bloom, which is wonderful to see because mine at home is also starting to bloom. I mean, look at the color of this. I don't even know if this is going to translate on camera because it is so shockingly fuchsia. This is one of the Cattleyas. It's called Cattleya Isabel Stone Willow Glen. First prize. I would give that first prize too. I mean, the color is extraordinary. We'll take a beeline to some succulents. These are Gasteria. This is commonly called ox tongue or ox's tongue. And I actually love growing these indoors because these are the type of succulent plants that you do not need to grow in a southern or western exposure. You could grow them a little bit further back. You could notice how dark they are with the leaves. I mean, certain ones like this one, which is a cultivar, the Sakura Fuji, that one has a little bit more of a pastel kind of color. But these other ones have this kind of dark green, which means they have a little bit more chlorophyll packed into their leaves. This one I love. This is Gasteria nitida var armstrongii, and I just, I'm really trying to hold back not to touch these plants, but this has these kind of like, almost like calloused over look, which I think is really beautiful. You could see a lot of these actually grow by offsets. So you could see this in this case of the Gasteria glomerata. You can see all the offsets kind of coming off here. So that's one of the ways. This one's actually overspilling its pot. So you can see that's one of the ways that it actually grows. Look at this one. This one looks more like an ox tongue to me. I mean, come on, look at that. It does. It looks like a bovine tongue. Oh, the Haworthia truncata. Gorgeous. That's a gorgeous one. Avonia. Wow, that's pretty. I haven't seen that species before. And a lot of these are submitted by people who are just home horticulturists. So if you're interested in actually submitting some of your plants to the Philly Flower Show in the coming years, then you should really look into it because this is a way in order to be able to showcase your stuff and to inspire others to grow really great plants. But let's go on the other side because I'm really curious as to how are these classified now. They are still classified as Sansevieria here. They haven't picked up on the fact that they're an Dracaenas, or they're really holding out on that. Gorgeous. This is the now it's called Dracaena kirkii pulchra, gorgeous copper tone version. Are you guys looking at the ones that got awards here?
No.
No.
Well, partly, everything you see in this bed bears the paperwork from Monday's class.
I see.
It shows that, so when the judging comes, they don't want to see who won last time.
Yeah.
This is sort of a fresh class because the judges are all different.
Yeah.
So what we do, what among other we're doing, is changing the paperwork out to make sure they've got the right paperwork, which is in this envelope. We put it out there.
Perfect.
That's
Great.
what we do. It's one of the thousands of little things that have to happen
in order to make this run as smoothly as possible. Well, thank you so much for your work. This is amazing. This is my first Philly Flower Show, so thank you. I'll let you do your work. So, and we have some Haworthias over here. And some of these actually now got put into Haworthiopsis. So there's been a lot of genus changes around here, but I noticed some of the genera got changed here, specifically from Senecio to Curio, but some of these haven't caught up to snuff. But these are gorgeous. You could see this Sansevieria Pinguicula. You could see how they start to set out these runners or these rhizomes, and you can see these root structures right here. You put that in another pot, you give it a clip, and you already have something that's propagated. This one, I just got this species just the other day. This is Sansevieria Francis Ii, and also grows by those runners. I have a tendency to really love that look. I mean, this one is propped up almost like a bonsai, which is so cool. And you could see that they got that third prize right there. I'd love to point out this first prize winner right here because the variegation on this is really beautiful. So this is a Sansevieria trifasciata Gray Lady Gold. It's my first time learning of this cultivar, but a lot of the trifasciatas actually start to look the same after a while, but this one's a really beautiful one. It's almost all yellow. Let's step over here because I'd love to show you a longer form or a larger form variety of Euphorbia platyclada, and this is one of the ones that I featured on 365 Days of Plants. But look at this, it just looks like gnarled trunks. It is so cool to see it this large. So for anybody like me who has gotten a cutting of it, you could just see that probably after a decade of growth, if not more, you're going to have something that looks like this, which, I mean, seriously looks like something out of Dr. Seuss. I mean, if we look at a lot of these Euphorbias, you could just really get a scan of all the different diversity that comes from that genus. Now, mind you, some people who grow Euphorbia or propagate Euphorbia, they have very viscous, toxic latex that you do not want to get on your eyes. Even our poinsettias are Euphorbias, so that's not something that we often think about. But I mean, this Euphorbia Suzanne, look how different it is from this Euphorbia, this pencil stick cactus, Euphorbia tiricali. You know, and there's another one in the back, the same one. Or compared to this one, which, you know, is the way that it's hanging right now. This is beautiful. This again looks like, so I've not heard of this one. This is Euphorbia butii var spirotistica. And then these, which I have also shown on Plant One On Me, Euphorbia obesa, and also Euphorbia polygona, snowflake. I mean, all of these euphorbs look so different from one another. Let's take a look at this Euphorbia obesa, because typically when they're sold, they're nice little round balls, so they call them baseball cacti, even though they're not cacti. But as they start to age, they will start to elongate. So maybe they don't look as cute as they are when they're like a little tiny ball. This one's common, Euphorbia thymiloides. This is a variegated version, but you can see that it has this kind of zigzag stem, and that's commonly known as devil's backbone. Some more Haworthias. This is a gorgeous one. I have stalk of this, but to see this actually growing again as a bunch of offsets looks so, I mean, it's like submarine, you know, something that you would see underneath the ocean. They have some really nice variegated versions of Haworthias here. Look at this one. I mean, that probably, that's like more than 75% white. And some agaves here, nice and compact to start, but These will probably get a little bit larger. Very formidable creatures. Just to round out some more of our succulents. And by the way, I'm only cherry picking because I don't have very long in order to be able to show all this, and I really want to get a lot of the families included, but this will just round out some of the succulents. It's really nice to see that you have some more caudiciforms here. So we have a Folia, we have a Boea, and then you also have these like kind of Clinias, which I've been featuring a lot on 365 Days of Plants, because I really love the Clinia flowers. Obviously nothing's in bloom right here. It's a little bit past bloom season, but you can see all the different kinds and varieties, which is super cool. Another Kalanchoe. This is a chocolate soldiers. It's a type of cultivar. It's a Kalanchoe tomentosa, which is a little bit browner. And then you might actually recognize this one as Senecio macroglossus. I've featured this. I was introduced to this plant maybe 4 or 5 years ago. My friend Tom was growing it in his house, and I was like, wow, that looks like a heterohelix, like a type of ivy. And but it's not a type of ivy. It's a Senecio. It has a little bit more of an aster-like flower. Let's go over here because I see some clivias and some Tillandsia and even some aroids. So this is cool. This is Tillandsia Jarate. We actually saw this in Nongnuk Botanic Gardens. And to the right of that is Streptophila. And you'll notice that they have some really interesting types of curlicues. And I had just gotten a Streptophila not too long ago. And mine didn't have these curlicues, but it's now just starting to look like it gets a perm. It's starting to get curlicues. So I don't know if it's something that when it ages or if there's certain environmental conditions that promotes the curliness of the leaves. Super cool to see clivia. Typically clivia have more orange flowers or more orange blooms. The yellow are a little bit more coveted. And what I don't see here, oh yeah, here they are. Here are some variegated versions. So this is similar to one that I posted on 365 Days of Plants. Some of these actually stay a little bit more compact, but you can see the variegated versions look, super beautiful. Just up here, how this Philodendron Bernardo Pazii is actually growing. Long, beautiful leaves, has it growing a little bit more epiphytically on this piece of wood, which I think is like a really cool display. And these Lycopodiums as well. I mean, there's this one back over there that you could see, and then this one. And wow, I mean, these plants have to be able to withstand this kind of cold temperature right now because it is a little bit chilly today. I was making a comment on how some of these have actually changed their scientific names, and this one is up to date, Curio radicans, because sometimes it's known as Senecio radicans. And I could tell that this is probably something that gets top-down light, because typically when you're not giving this top-down light, it starts to get a little bald on top. So this is a gorgeous variety of Curio. This one seems to have like thicker leaves. You could get smaller leaved varieties. It's called string of fish hooks, so you might also recognize it by that name. I mean, look at this Lycopodium. This one is growing out like a full feathered mask right here. This is so cool.
Is that you? Hi, I saw your video all the time.
Oh, nice.
I can't believe it. I'm so glad to see you.
Oh, nice to see you.
I learned everything from you.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, I'm glad. Hi.
Okay.
Take care. Okay, that was somebody who watches Plant One on me, I guess. People's reactions are always so funny. I think we should go see some begonias because I promised some people to do some begonias. Let's wait for this guy to pass. Yep. Okay, so we took a look at a lot of these succulents. Sorry I'm cherry picking, guys. There's just so much to see and I have to cherry pick, otherwise we won't get through all of this. Gesneriaceae, which are really cool. Where are the begonias? Where are you gonna put it?
In the light.
Okay, gotta make some room for it. And not to be overshadowed, the Peperomia tetragona in the front is very beautiful, and you could actually see also how it's cascading down, because some people are like, why does my plant start to hang? But oftentimes those will start to cascade down. Oh, that's not my baby. I'm just highlighting everyone's.
Okay.
I love peperomia though, so I'm a peperomia. I'm a peperomia nut. And then of course this Melanochrysum. So this peperomia right here looks like a Peperomia polybatria actually. Maybe it's something different, but it has this really dark green leaves, so it's beautiful. It's like filled with chlorophyll. It's not represented by any species here, but it looks like polybatria type. Ficus benjamina, which is a variegated version that we see. And also Farfugium japonicum, which I start to see a little bit more as a houseplant. You can see that in the markets.
Diana Wister, 13970.
Peperomia argyria, gorgeous, gorgeous watermelon peperomia right there. And look at this cascading Peperomia incana. I mean, this is something to aspire to. And look at it's all the little inflorescences. It's like every peperomia is in bloom right now. So you can see a lot of the Amorphalis here. So cool. I mean, look at those blooms. This is a Thai constellation, Monstera Deliciosa. This one says it's a Monstera Epipremioides. It's got some really beautiful fenestrations there. So this is a Hoya carnosa Hindu rope, which a lot of people will recognize. And you could also get this on the market, Hoya kentiana variegata. And a lot of these in the back right here are Hoya carnosa types. You can see that one is in flower right there. This is actually a variation that I have, Matowskii. I didn't actually realize that is the cultivar name, but you can see that this one has some more silver flecking on the leaves. And we're getting into begonias now. Yes, we're getting into begonias. Look at this Begonia Vanozza. It's probably one of my top 3 favorite begonias. Really love the succulent types. Look at that leaf. This one is a Psilotum. This is a little bit more of an ancient plant. And you know, I actually don't want to skip over any of these plants because anybody who has a favorite genus, if they see me skipping over it, they'll have some choice words in the comments. But I'm going to have to because I'm down to my last 20 minutes before I have my meeting. But you could see some really beautiful Droseras right here. So these are more carnivorous plants. And you have some very cool Gesneriaceae, so some African violets over here. They have them as St. Paulias, but the species name, I think, has changed. And of course, for all of you aroid lovers out there, I'm going to have to feature some of these. So this is a Thaumatophyllum in the back, recently changed to Thaumatophyllum, phylum. And then Bietiae right here. And of course the Erebussin's Pink Princess, which is looking mighty fine, I might add. Philodendron Bietiae, this is a variegated version. This is something that we saw in Thailand at Holmes' home. So he's a collector of plants. And then this is a variegated Jose Buena. Very cool begonia, a little bit more challenging to grow. Begonia amphioxus. Really love the red spots on this. I think it's a very striking plant. Very popular in terrariums. Let's take a nice span of the begonias. There's another Begonia Vanozza. That's a beautiful form. It actually hasn't started to get too gnarled yet. You could see how they stick out their flowers on this long stalk. And I'd imagine that, you know, plants that often stick their flowers out on a long stalk, they're really trying to dangle it out there for something to pollinate. So I'd imagine maybe a moth or something at night is trying to pollinate that plant. A lot of people's favorite begonias are Begonia Sansevieria, and I love the looks and the textures of this because it reminds me of like an old man's hairy ears. I always say that. Beautiful. This is called Begonias Snoopy. I love the color. It reminds me of my green walls in my kitchen. But also take a look at this one in the back. It has like this ruffled skirt around it. This is called Madame Queen. And I haven't seen this cultivar before, but it's so frilly. Of course, you have these like finger-like begonias, which I started to get into as well. This is Begonia Thymic. Not Thelme, it's Thymic, I think, because Thelme is the one that crawls around the ground. I love this begonia. Sometimes challenging if you overwater. It could be like a peperomia. It's kind of somewhere in between succulent and not succulent, so it's like a semi-succulent plant. Begonia Concha Folia rubricala. This one looks so similar to my Begonia Maurice, and I think when you start to look at different cultivars, you start to see similarities between them, and they might have the same parentage. But this one's called Begonia Los Angeles. I'm sure somebody with a more refined eye for begonia cultivars would be able to pick this one out, but this to me looks a lot like my Begonia Maurice. Loving these black leaf varieties because I think I'm in a little bit of a goth phase for the last couple seasons. But Begonia Boyfriend, another beautiful variety. Oh my God, and look at this one. Look at the asymmetry in this leaf. It's like almost like a paddle shape. Blankii, Begonia Blankii. I've never seen this one before. I'll have to ask Steve about that when I see Steve's leaves. Begonia Breakdance, I mean, that is the coloration of that. I mean, it's so fun. It looks like a peacock. And the flowers on that, really gorgeous. Kind of this like white creamy color with some pink centers. You can see some of the cane begonias over here, angel wings. Begonia Ebony, that's a really beautiful one with the dark purple undersides and the glaucous kind of dark green shades on top. All right, let's move on from the begonias and just go over to the cacti so that some of the cacti lovers could be a little bit more immersed in this. Oh, these are pretty phenomenal. Yeah, we got some Faro Cactuses. We got some Opuntias here, so a little bit more like kind of pad shaped. One of the Stapeliads, Grandiflora, not in bloom. So you have some Rhipsalis, so some of the jungle cacti that you have. I saw a big Pilocarpa the other day, and I don't know where it is. I mean, even with not a lot of people here.
Okay, yeah, just all right. If you need me. Thank you.
Some Mellow Cactuses. This is an Astrophytum. I mean, that's the Myriostigma. I did see some Nudums somewhere as well. I guess not here. I think this is like one of the commonly known as penis cactus. This is Triocereus, and because of the way it grows, it has unfortunately gotten the common name of penis cactus. This Ariocarpus retusus is beautiful. I saw these also in Thailand. They have a more difficult time growing in Thailand because of the humidity. So all that kind of fuzziness that you see on top actually starts to get a little brown and mushy. So it just goes to show you that sometimes growing plants in your micro conditions, even in your own home, can actually be a little bit more challenging depending on where you are. this is a beautiful specimen. So this is a Pereskia. Some of them have now been put into rhodocactus and a number of others, but this doesn't look like a typical cactus because it has this like big foliage. And some of them don't even have some noticeable spines, but that is a very nice specimen right there, even though it doesn't have a winning ribbon. All right, so I have to actually go to my meetings, but I want to get some more close-up shots for you here. I wish I could spend all day filming, but I can't. But there's just so much beautiful plants to see. And again, if you're actually growing some of these plants indoors, think about coming to the Philly Flower Show and showcasing them, or just actually coming and attending and seeing what people have in store, because it is so cool. And there's so many presentations that go on all day at the Philly Flower Show. I actually just gave a presentation myself 2 days ago, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they come out with next year. All right, guys, gotta go. Oh, yeah.
Really cool to see you in
What's your
person.
name?
Jordan.
Oh, Jordan, nice to meet you.
Sorry.
Are you just here attending?
I'm passing this year.
Oh, nice,
Learning
awesome.
the process.
That's so cool. That's fantastic. So with the PHS then?
Yes.
Oh, very
With
cool.
the Delaware Begonia Society.
Oh, okay, right on. So do you live in Delaware then?
I live in the Delaware County.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yes.